I'm Lynn.
I'm Amanda.
And this is the Pursuit of Badasserie, the podcast. We're cutting through the fluff and cracking open what it really takes to build a business and life that you actually want.
No gurus, no gatekeeping, just real talk, big action, and the badass energy you need to scale and slay.
Some episodes, it's just us.
And sometimes we bring on powerful guests with stories that'll hit home.
Either way, this is not about playing small.
It's about going all in.
Let's get after it. Hey there, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda. Welcome to the Pursuit of Badasserie, the podcast. Listen, everyone is obsessed with going viral and scaling worldwide, but most business owners haven't even tapped into the opportunities sitting within a 7-mile radius of them. So today we're going to talk about that 7-mile radius hack in your business and how it can help you grow in ways that you can't even imagine.
And when I saw this topic on our podcast list, I was super stoked. It reminded me of my Cutco days. For those of you who don't know what Cutco is, it's the best cutlery in the world. Love Cutco cutlery. But when I was between a freshman and a sophomore in college, I joined Cutco Cutlery, but they teach you to actually utilize this. And so it's all by, you got to hustle and like find your first clients, which are usually people that you know. So the super close ones. And then you ask them for referrals. And usually that's like within a certain, it's the same kind of concept as the 7-mile radius, because you really do stay. And they said, usually it's within like 10 miles is where the most of your business will come from. And then you might get referred into another like area. And then that grows into its own 7-mile radius. And so I was super excited because it totally reminded me of my old school days. But essentially, all the things happen. Like people forget to look next door. It's an old sales technique. A couple of security people would teach us back in the day when I would teach sales, good old door knocking for sales as well, not referral basis. Who's next door to you? Who's next door to you? Who's across the street? Who's next door to them? Who's next door to them? And just kind of like building out from there. The door-to-door magazine people, like it's a business for a reason. Yeah, they're going to get a lot of no's, but they definitely get enough yeses to keep in business. And that is like that 7-mile radius. But it's not just like, it's also metaphorically, right? So it's the radius around your business. So we talk about this. I used to teach this about like the concentric circles and like looking who's the closest to you, like collaborators, local leaders, people who have their hand in your prospect pool, aligned brands, strategic partners, referral partners, etc. And then you kind of build your way out. And when you can organize in a way, man, it's like a game changer, but that's a whole other podcast or two.
2 or 3. No, absolutely. The local really is the new leverage. So when you think about global expansion, I mean, everyone wants to have global impact. A lot of people want to have global impact. We want to have global impact. But that really starts with a hyper-local traction. And it's not just necessarily a brick and mortar business, though we're talking both brick and mortar as well as online businesses. It's not mutually exclusive. So you don't necessarily need more followers, but you do need more real world advocates for your business. And we talk all the time till we're blue in the face about strategic partnerships. But really, when it comes down to it, local credibility does build faster trust. And that trust is going to convert into real people faster than an ad will every time. And when it comes to a 7-mile radius, I always call it the 7-mile sweet spot from a brick and mortar perspective specifically. So I'm going to talk just for a second about brick and mortar specifically. But that 7-mile radius, most people are going to go to a business that is within 7 miles of their home or their work. So when you think of like a gym, like they're going to pick the gym that's within a 7-mile radius of their home or their work, because that's where they're going to be going to it. If you're going to a grocery store, again, a 7-mile radius, they're not going to go to a grocery store that's 57 miles away unless it's for a very specific product, niching down into that market. So that 7-mile concept is really literally, from a brick and mortar standpoint, a literal map. And you can go onto Google and you can ask for a 7-mile radius from your location. And the area around there are the people I would go first to look for strategic partnerships. If I'm doing like a mailing campaign, I would go there to mail mailers. I would look all around that business. Like, who are my strategic partners? where are my prospects hanging out? What kind of businesses, what kind of neighborhoods, where's the demographic there? Because that's the sweet spot. And even when it comes down to like Google Maps and getting yourself listed higher in SEO, just using the maps to go to your location every single time it's going to ping in Google that that's a popular space to go. And they're going to alert people within that 7-mile radius when they type in, I need a underwater basket weaver near me. They're looking at that 7-mile radius. So it really does make a difference, particularly from a brick and mortar standpoint. But even still, in a not literal sense, not a literal 7 miles. Think of it as you want a space that is far enough to expand your reach, but close enough to create relationships. And that's metaphorical as well as physically. But think about your low hanging fruit. We talk about all the time about your low hanging fruit. Who is around you and what's the next step? What's that one step degree of separation? And how can you create relationships that are going to last and going to create and build more business for you down the line?
Yeah. I mean, proximity does enhance trust. I mean, as long as you're a good, trustful person. If you're an asshole, it's a different story.
That's a different problem.
Yeah. But I love that you gave a brick and mortar example. The online is exactly like you said, the same thing. I mean, you need the connection, the connectivity points in order to be able to grow your presence and to be able to have more influence or power. It is the people that you know, but more importantly, it's the people that know you, what they think about you. And so, and how to leverage each other, because Amanda said about like, promoting or strategic alliances and different things like that. Like there's so many different layers of potential support that you can offer one another. And when you're from that same like community in a more physical sense, that definitely gives you a bit more, especially sell local, buy local kind of concept. But when you have it on the online world, when you have that tight group, you guys are just looking out for each other in a different way. But it's still that like that collective, you seem like a bigger presence because you are being a part of the collective and not being a lone wolf. Now, we're not saying that there aren't exceptions to the rule, because there are. And you can definitely, be balls to the wall without the 7-mile radius, but it'll take a lot of money, a lot of effort, and it's hard. But really, it's, with this concept though, it helps your bang for the buck go further, because you're investing in relational capital, regardless if it's on or offline. BNI is great for this networking group. And so they have that local, then they have the regional, and then they have the national, then the global. And if a person contacts a global person and says, hey, I'm a BNI member, yeah, there's a little bit of like that leverage because they're part of a collective. But if they contact somebody in the regional and say, hey, I'm from this, they're definitely going to have more response. We used to be part of BNI, like we're using that as an example. So local relationships will just convert quicker and faster because the trust is stronger. There's more, really, in a lot of ways, there's more to lose because you're more known in that tighter circle, right? Because you're a part of it.
Absolutely. And nothing will teach you that more than living on an island, because absolutely that lesson was pounded into me. You can't burn bridges. In my olden days, living in big cities, burning bridges was very easy because you would never see them again. But when you live in a smaller community and you're really activating around a community, if you piss one person off, you're going to piss a lot of people off, because it's just like, there's pros and cons to it, because one referral can lead to 5 referrals, but one bad experience can lead to 27 bad experiences. Or people talking about it. So there is a bit more, like you said, there is a bit more to lose in that aspect. But this is about small circles having bigger impact and collaboration over competition. We talk about collaboration over competition all the time, but local relationships really compound. It really is, again, it's who you know, but it's who knows you. And community trust can translate into digital credibility in a lot of different ways, in photos and testimonials and collaborative content. So there's a lot of trust building that can happen that starts small, and you think like, oh, what's that going to do? But it's the little things that create a bigger ripple effect. So your global brand can grow faster if your hometown backs you. If you're talking about it with other people and there's that trust being built, that momentum can speed up much faster because, again, the small circles, big impact, that trust builds faster when you have actual exposure.
Yeah. Well, also, like when you were talking, I was thinking about like there's each little area has its own little ins and nos and lingo and like kind of funny jokes or whatever in a general sense. And this is on or offline as well. So it gives you your own language almost. And you guys are speaking on the same level, if you would. So that also enhances it. And it absolutely does compound. And it takes less effort because it's right out your back door versus trying to, look a cajillion miles away. And so figuratively and literally, and cajillion is a real number.
It's a real word. Just like a Googleplex. So let's talk about, I want to give you guys, we're all about action. So I want to give you some actionable things like how can you activate this 7-mile network that's going to increase your business and help you grow. So the number one thing, I'm sure you know it's coming, audit who's already in your orbit. We are big auditors. So look at your clients, look at your vendors, look at your peers, look at your friends, look at the places that you're already hanging out. Like who's already around you? Who's in your orbit? I know Lynn already mentioned this, but like who's the low-hanging fruit? And then look at identifying gaps. So who serves in the same audience, but differently? So how can you collaborate with somebody who, again, it's, as Lynn calls it, who's in your prospect pool? Where are the gaps? Where can you sort of fill in with more people that are still in that 7 miles? And then, this is kind of a playbook from BNI, from our BNI days, but go ahead and initiate a couple of one-to-ones, a couple of coffee chats a month, host a mini collab event once a quarter to try to reach out and connect with more people. It's really okay to be the one to initiate it. I know as an introvert, I know that's like a hive inducing thing, but you can be the one to initiate those conversations. Even just a couple a month can help grow that know, like, trust and can help your outreach or help the reach within your community. And this could be maybe like inviting another local brand to a joint Instagram campaign or a giveaway that you guys do together. I mean, it doesn't have to be huge, but you can reach out to your community and start small and expand from there. There's lots of ways. You'd be surprised how many people in your community are also business owners that you had no idea.
Yeah.
Because they were asked.
Agreed. A couple other things I'd add to that is audit your own visibility, like know what your own kind of reputation is and your visibility. You can do this on and offline. Offline is asking people or having your people ask people about you, but also like Google yourself, different things like that. I love that you talked about doing one-to-ones, reconnecting with your network personally, but sometimes it's not even about going that far of having a one-to-one. I think that that's great. One-on-ones are powerful, but even just reaching out to somebody and saying, hey, Amanda, I've been thinking about you. How are you? What's new in your world? Not to sell, not to get anything, just connecting with no agenda. Also, like we talk a lot about micro moments of trust. So this goes into a lot of what Amanda was saying about like, going out for a one-to-one or doing like a little lunch and learn or whatever, but also volunteering. I loved being a part of Lion's group, but we did a lot of volunteering outside of that as well when I was in Hawaii, or even like going to a small community event to show local support, right? And that is huge. Like there are many times even here and back in the day where I just do not have the capacity. And sometimes I don't go to the events, but I only go because I respect the person who is facilitating it or who's whatever. And I want to honor that relationship, right? And so it's not about me, it's about them. I think there's so many more that we can do, so many other different things that we can do. But I think at the end of the day, it is showing up consistently on and offline with integrity, with purpose, with connectivity, not just in a superficial way, and depositing into that 7-mile radius, if you would. And again, air quotes, because that could be on or offline, but just be that person who shows up and who gives and supports. And this is how credibility really grows. And I look at like, all the work not to gain anything. It's definitely a part of who I am. I was just having this conversation not too long ago about all the work that I've done to do this kind of stuff, because a lot of this is just very natural for me. And again, when I saw this, I was like, holy shit, like this is like almost like a full circle moment in a lot of ways, having this conversation, because just putting in the work to be able to do it. And I haven't been in like the Hawaii community for so long, but to still be able to like call a person and say, hey, you know, this person needs help with this. Would you be able to help? And it's like, no questions asked. My connection still is strong there. Not with everybody, like some loosen with time, but definitely, you know, it goes a long way, especially for those that get you and that those that are part of your core people, I would say.
Absolutely. And I want to leave our audience with the challenge. After this episode, before you move on to the next thing, map out your 7-mile radius today. What's your 7-mile radius? If you have a brick and mortar, then go on Google. It's real quick to make a Google map of your 7-mile radius. And once you've made your 7-mile radius, or again, metaphorically, think about your 7-mile radius, I want you to find one business to connect with before the end of the week. So you have the rest of the week, find one business or one connection that you want to rekindle. Again, a genuine connection. You're not selling. You're not trying, as Lynn said, we're not trying to get something out of it. It's just connecting, seeing how they're going, seeing where they are in the world, and what that will do for your business will trickle down in other ways that aren't necessarily salesy.
Absolutely. We hope that you got a lot out of this podcast. I feel, again, like this could be, there's so many different things that we could talk about here. We'll definitely bring some more into some other podcasts about the concentric circles and like the people aspect in different angles. But if you got something out of this, please go ahead and leave us a note, leave us a comment, hit subscribe, and share this with somebody in your network. There is your task. Share this with somebody in your network that you would like to build a little bit of a relationship with. Win, win, win. Right there.
Win-win. All right, folks, until next time.
Get after it. Thanks for tuning in. But remember, listening is not doing.
Take what you heard today and move.
Share the episode, leave us a review, and tag us when you take action.
Head over to the pursuitofbadasserie.com and see how we're helping entrepreneurs get results without the fluff.
Until next time,
let's get after it.